Oh, I remember that. It was the first time.
Oh yeah. And she was like, message me something on like Facebook, like, pictures or
Mm-hmm. We're waiting for the online people to come.
That's what I
Yes.
No.
I really don't.
I don't either. That was my brother. He I just started wanting to not wanting.
I feel like I used to know a joke.
No. Oh, I don't know any jokes. I'm not funny. That's why I was wondering. They don't know that's not your content,
See, I do. A little person who's a psychic. Get it now, small cat.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's fine. Not getting any ready.
That was so bad.
When they bring the nerds out of the cube, that's us. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, everybody's in front of people. we usually are in the background. Keep us in the back.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, everybody. First off, my name is Kevin Zeiss. I'm a marketing specialist here at the Karcher Group. I'd like to thank everybody for attending today's Lunch and Learn on the basics of marketing automation. I'd like very pleased to introduce today's speakers. On your right, is Jennifer Gross. She is a digital strategy architect here at the Karcher Group. In her role, she oversees and informs clients on their overall strategy as far as identifying platforms and solutions and implementing those strategies for our clients. She has vast experience in marketing automation, including multiple platforms and for multiple clients, and has certifications from multiple platforms. Also joining us today is Kelly Gifford, our social media specialist. She helps create strategy and analyzes data and metrics and creating reports for our clients. She also has a number of certifications in Hootsuite for social advertising and social marketing, as well as HubSpot certifications in inbound marketing and content. And with that, I'll let Jennifer take it away.
All right. Okay, thanks everyone for coming. I hope you enjoyed lunch and you're ready for the learn part. You'll see we have tons of notes up here, so just an FYI before I begin, we're going to cover a lot of stuff. Some of it's technical, so at any point feel free to just raise your hand or shout out and ask a question. No problem there. So, what are we going to talk about today? Marketing automation. I'm sure most of you have heard about marketing automation, but I'm going to bet that about 90% of you are confused about what the term actually means, and that's not your fault. It's got so many different industry definitions, it's kind of hard to keep them straight. So we'll go over just a few of them. So the industry defines marketing automation in a couple different ways. One is marketing automation is a category of software that streamlines, automates, and measures marketing tasks. Or maybe that marketing automation is the use of software to automate marketing processes, et cetera, et cetera. And a different type even is that marketing automation is a subset of customer relationship management that focuses on scheduling, segmentation, and tracking of all your campaigns. So as you can see, it gets pretty and just covers a very broad area. But here's the point. Marketing automation refers to a software that exists with the goal of automating marketing. So I want to be clear, it's about software. So many marketers can automate repetitive tasks, email, social media, other website actions. This is where that technology is going to make that easier. It's a great way to guide your potential customers through your website, your social channels, your email. You're going to generate new leads, move existing leads. It really does all of this. It's a very large tool. Commonly, it's used for like social media marketing, email marketing, lead gen, lead nurturing, of course, your metrics and analytics, which I'm going to stress a ton as we move forward, and even management activities, because now we're getting into the CRM world with these as well. So let's continue with the definition just real quick. It's really common for everyone to talk about marketing automation and email marketing interchangeably. The fact is they're not the same. Email marketing is a part of marketing automation, but it's just a part. So the actual difference is, and this is the true definition, marketing automation combines contrasting customer acquisition and retention channels, conforming them to your company's conversion channel. That's a lot and makes no sense to a lot of people, even me sometimes. So what this actually means is marketing automation combines all of your digital promotion channels. It also allows you to nurture prospects using highly personalized content, because you know who it goes to, and then convert leads and convert them into customers. So any company's buy cycle is going to span multiple touch points. So like a customer might find you through search, and then it likes your Facebook page, and then it goes and sees a blog on your website, and your awesome blog content allows them to become a newsletter subscriber. That is one conversion path. There are hundreds of conversion paths that anyone can take to get to you. So trying to chase all those down is impossible. And that's where marketing automation comes into play to kind of bring all that together. So just before I go even further, does anyone have any questions right now, just on the basics of what we're going to be talking about? No? Okay. Again, I do want to have a small little marketer's note here, because I know you guys are all marketing professionals. Selling your product or service is always going to come down to your brand's position and message. This is why creative is always going to be important. You do have to get your message out there, and that's where marketing automation comes in. Marketing automation itself does not get you leads, though it is a lead generation tool because it gives you all the resources you need to get leads. So when you use marketing automation as part of your marketing strategy, you're going to see your campaign from promotion to personal and relevant interactions to conversion to sales, and then have the ability to analyze all of it. Make sense? Okay. So next we're just going to go into some common myths about marketing automation. First is that marketing automation is cold and inhuman and impersonal, and that's actually just really not true. It's the exact opposite. Marketing automation is the best way to send personalized, one-to-one targeted messages. It gives you the ability to add more personal touches because it's collecting data on your leads, and then you can custom tailor all of your offers to them. So some examples on how to do this is to add dynamic content based on an individual's specific profile. You can categorize customers and prospects by common behaviors. You can integrate your marketing channels to deliver your message across all platforms equally to said customers. All of those things you really can't do without a full marketing automation system. Next myth is set up once and you're done. And unfortunately, that's definitely not the case. Pretty easy job then. But unfortunately, marketing automation does need constant care and awareness. It's just a little bit of different care and awareness. You need to test what your audience is engaging with most and then create that type of messaging and content. Additionally, customers are way more likely to engage with brands that engage back. And luckily, with most systems, you can create, post, view, and respond right within them. Next, marketing automation is spam. This is kind of an important one because there are ways to not be spam. We want to make sure we're doing that as marketers. It actually creates less of a chance for you to be spam because you're actually personalizing the user experience. And again, of course, that it's only for email. And as we discussed earlier, it's not. It's utilized with social media, landing pages, emails, lead generation activities, management activities, so many more. The list goes on. Okay, so now we're through all that. Let's get to the fun stuff. What do you choose? This is really the hard part because there's so many now, and I swear there's new ones every single day. So we need to remember marketing automation is all about software. Basically, it lets you implement all of your digital marketing strategies without having to manually press send on an email or message or a campaign, anything like that. Automation tools also should help you identify your audience and design the right content for them and automatically trigger actions that you have set up. So that way, once your campaign rolls out, you're spending much more of your time analyzing and optimizing instead of creating brand new. But which one is best? So different marketing automation platforms are designed for different businesses, absolutely. It's really critical that you research all of your options to find the best fit for your company. This that we're looking at right up here is the G2 Crowd Quadrant. This is kind of an industry standard for like software rankings. What you're seeing is just marketing automation softwares. To qualify for inclusion in this category, you have to fit all of the standards listed here. Some of those are like providing advanced email marketing, acting as a central marketing database, allowing dynamic segmentation, generating forms and landing pages. The list goes on and on. So as you can see, HubSpot is by far the leader in the category. Actually up there under leaders, #1. But runners up do include Marketo, ActiveCampaign, Pardot, and a ton more. So we're gonna go in depth on those a little bit. Does anyone have any questions before I get into platforms? Okay. So we're gonna discuss our favorites. #1 is HubSpot. This is gonna be my personal choice for probably most people that we have here as our client base, because if we're looking at small to medium businesses, or even an entrepreneur level, it's gonna have everything you need and not be too much. What HubSpot is your full marketing suite. Sales software, marketing software, support software now, and your CRM. And the combination of having all of your data and growth activity in one place really allows you to create creative automations that really wouldn't be able to be made if you use separate tools, because you wouldn't have the cross-channel traffic analytics. So these tools are extremely straightforward and easy to navigate, and also these are the guys that coined the term inbound, which you're going to learn more about later. So expect all of the educational resources and the best support. So those are really the two reasons makes HubSpot the leader. And also they do have the biggest backing possibly, because they are now funded by Google. So they're able to make these quick changes as their customers need them. So that's always a plus. Second though, is ActiveCampaign. I currently use this platform for multiple clients here at TKG. It's a great platform. It is basically more for email marketing clients. So they need some CRM, some workflows, but it's really heavy email. Because it has tons of preset automations, it does make that email part easy to use, especially for e-commerce and things like abandoned cart. So that makes it good. But it really isn't good for beginners, unfortunately. You have to self-teach a lot, and it does have some technical setup that is a little harder to implement yourself. So again, I do recommend it for more small business with some technical savvy, but that isn't looking for all of the tools that say like a HubSpot or a Pardot's going to offer when it comes to CRM or analytics or things like that. This is more email focused. Next is SharpSpring, which I again have set up quite a few companies with SharpSpring. It's kind of a newer player, so not everyone's heard of it. It's a growing platform. It's actually ranked 3rd in the list of so many users that we list those by, like how many sales and whatnot. It is behind HubSpot, Pardot, and then SharpSpring would be the 3rd. It's super flexible and it integrates with tons of other products. The downside is it has to integrate with tons of other products because it's a growing platform and doesn't have all the functionality within it. The main selling point of it though is that it's about 1/3 the cost of every other platform. So you kind of get what you pay for there. You do have to do some self-teaching, and it requires a little bit more setup than others because they don't custom make you templates and things like some of the other platforms provide you with. So this is a do-it-yourself, less expensive option. Next is Pardot, which I have touched on briefly. Pardot is if you are currently heavily using Salesforce, Pardot might be good for you. I say heavy Salesforce users because Salesforce integrates with almost anything, technically, so you don't have to choose Pardot. But if you are very used to Salesforce and the look of Salesforce, and also you're more like a highly technical marketer, as in you know HTML and CSS a bit, you understand how to integrate analytics, and you understand Salesforce itself, then this has tons of features that would be good for you. It also has tons of features you're probably not going to use though if you're not into all of that or you're not an enterprise level customer. So it is a very strong tool, but it is for enterprise and above, I would suggest. It's pretty expensive. But not as expensive as our last option, which is Marketo. The reason we love Marketo is because it just got bought by Adobe. And if you are enterprise level, then, and you're using something like Adobe Analytics or Adobe Target, which are awesome tools, then this is definitely the way to go. Adobe Analytics has arguably the most robust reporting features on the web. Unfortunately, it's extremely expensive, and it is usually only utilized in very large enterprise level customers. So I want to put this up there as an option for very, very robust reporting and automation features at the enterprise level. Any questions on the platform so far? I heard a fun part. Okay. So how does this actually work behind the scenes? With a full marketing automation system like HubSpot, Pardot, or SharpSpring, what you're basically doing is collecting customer data through many interactions like emails, website visits, social media, things like that. This data creates a full view of each customer or lead. So from there, you just let automation do the work. You streamline your segmentation and targeting, you tailor your messaging, you create relevant and personalized messaging, you deliver those personalized experiences, and then you test and analyze. So you do all of that within the system. The goal is really to reach customers along their journey and deliver your message when, where, and how they want to be reached. That's really the key there. It's where they want to be reached, not where you want them to be reached. So one common issue with marketing automation that I find is the term marketing automation has become like quite a buzzword, where marketing professionals seek out software under the impression that all of the marketing tools they're going to need necessary for growth are right there and automatic. This misconception leaves many marketers with a lot of tools to automate some of their funnel, usually the middle to the end, which means email marketing. But they are left without a way to generate new leads, which is usually the goal that I am requested, by customers to get, is new. So the term inbound marketing is something you're likely to hear about when talking about automation. The two go hand in hand, and this is how we're going to generate new leads, is with inbound marketing. So what this means is instead of relying on outbound marketing methods of buying ads, buying email lists, and aggressively pushing audiences, you're going to use inbound marketing to attract through value-driven content. So actually, I'm going to hand it over to Kelly now to talk about inbound. I got you.
Oh, perfect. Hi. So before we really dive into inbound marketing, we really need to lay the foundation of what are you going to be starting when working with inbound marketing. So we're going to start with the customer journey. So the customer journey is the complete sum of experiences that customers go through when interacting with your company and brand. Where it really builds out through is through awareness, consideration, and decision. So your awareness stage is the buyer identifies their challenge or an opportunity that they want to pursue. The next is consideration. The buyer have clearly defined the goal or challenge and have committed to addressing it. And the decision is the buyers have already decided on a solution. So let's move away from a theoretical or definition-based concept of this. Let's actually look at a real example. So our example shows that our person in this situation is feeling sick. Their awareness phase talks about how they have a fever. They are aware that they are sick. Their consideration is what are their options of curing their sickness. Their decisions is going through the options that they have and deciding what they want to do. The customer journey relates to everything in inbound and your funnel. And we'll be getting into that a little bit later. So you have heard us talk a lot about the funnel. And as we've discussed, the marketing automation tactics is to push people through this funnel. Here is the funnel that we are referring to. So when you're looking through the process of the awareness stage, consideration stage, and decision stage, it relates, again, to every aspect of your funnel. With the awareness stage, starting with your visitors coming to the main page, creating a lead, so getting their information, leading into a marketing qualified lead, then leading to the sales qualified lead. Both the MQL and SQL relate to the consideration stage. Then from the sales qualified lead, leading to the opportunity and customer, which is that decision phase and securing that customer. So now centering into inbound marketing. Before we really get into any tools or any things like that, I want to put up this simple equation to always keep in mind when working with inbound. Your content is your marketing toolkit, and context is who you are creating the content for. This helps you know what tools to utilize and the types of content to create. Again, inbound, along with marketing automation, is a personalized approach. So inbound methodology, there are 3 components of the inbound flywheel, which is attract, engage, and delight. This flywheel model is to build trust and credibility and momentum. It's about adding value at every stage in relations to your customer journey. So again, everything is relating to each other and should connect through your funnel. So the attract component is getting the right group of people who are most likely to purchase your product or services. Before even really starting this phase, creating buyer personas is really key. Those semi-fictional representation of your ideal customer that helps you even know the starting ground of what tools to really utilize and work on. The next component with it, which is engagement or engage, is keeping in touch with the people you're most focused on. You're going to be able to keep track of these touches with conversions related to the tools that you are working with. And the last component, again, is delight. And this is making the customer journey experience as easy as possible with the specific tools that you're using. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the tools, let's quickly look over at the biggest forces behind inbound marketing. The first one is content generation. You're going to want to create targeted content that directly addresses your customer's demand. It should be extremely high quality, entertaining, engaging, and shareable content. The next is the conversion funnel targeting. So marketers really need to pay attention and respect the fact that people go through stages as they interact with your company. Each stage requires different marketing needs, and a customer who is just learning about your company for the first time may not respond well to an aggressive buy now call to action. So it's understanding where people are at different points of the funnel. Personalization. As you build out your inbound marketing and marketing automation strategy, you will learn more about your leads. And you'll be able to build a one-to-one connection with hundreds, thousands, even millions of users by utilizing inbound methodologies. Then there's cross channels. Marketing strategies connect all touch points in the customer journey. It's common for users to engage with your brands across multiple channels. So being able to integrate a plan together would be really helpful for you. And then again, integration. Your marketing and analytics software need to communicate effectively with each other. That really helps you know the health status of what you're working on. So moving on to tools. So these are the types of tools used with inbound marketing. Your attract tools would use things like ads and video to bring in new leads and build new leads. Engagement tools such as email marketing and conversational bots are able to help engage and develop conversations and get to know your leads better. Knowing what their needs are helps you better serve customers. And then the delight tools such as smart content. With the use of marketing automation, you can actually tailor the content leads want to see. So you're not just spamming, you're sending them specific type of content that they want to be seeing and engaging in a better way. So let's take a deeper dive into one of the attract tools, because I know many of you are interested in getting new leads. So we're going to dive into social promotion. It's what I know best, so we're going to dive into it. So using the attract tool, one of the first steps you're going to want to do is social listening. So this is searching for things that you're tagged in, but not just what you're tagged in, but if someone even mentions your company's name. So they're not necessarily tagging you in that comment, your name just appears as regular text. You can actually find that through different tools, through different hashtags. You can find that and really get a better gauge of what your audience is understanding and how to reach them. Another thing to do is a social media audit. And what I mean by a social media audit is not just by the content that you are writing, but through the call to actions that you have. Are you including different links? Are they shortened? Do you have different measurements connected to those links so you can actually see how many people are actually clicking on them? It's analyzing the about section on your page. Are you being searchable? Do you have relevant content in that section? So there's a lot of different areas that you can utilize social listening tools to help you discover trends, to modify social media campaigns, and then receive valuable insights into what you need to do to be able to attract more people.
So are social listening tools something that people like us would use, or something that people like you would use?
Both.
Both.
I mean, they're things that we can get our hands on.
Yeah.
That won't cost an arm and a leg.
They're usually included in all of the platforms that I have suggested.
Yeah.
They have social listening tools included. So all
Yeah.
inclusive.
Yeah. And speaking directly with HubSpot, HubSpot has great social listening tools. But yeah, there are options that it won't cost you an arm and a leg.
Any freestanding tools, or they're all?
There are freestanding tools. They're very expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just like you're better off to get the whole system when it comes to
Yeah.
those, because you can use something like an SEM Rush or something, but you're looking at like probably, I don't know, like over $300 a month for that. So
Yeah.
nothing inexpensive, unfortunately.
Yeah. Moving on with social media, again, always remember to add social media icons. I know it sounds simple, but really that can lead to lead generation to drive more people onto your sites. So adding it to your email signatures. So not just the icon, but being able to link that icon out. Putting it on presentation templates. Those ones you're not necessarily going to link, but if they know you're on different platforms, then they can easily search for you on them. Being able to have it on printed collateral, website footers, and email newsletters. Those are all really important. I mean, people are not wanting to necessarily communicate through phones anymore, and this is an easy way to be able to help move people through the funnels.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on is to conversions. We have mentioned conversions before, but conversions is a moment when a website visitor takes a desired action. So this marks an exchange between you and your website audience. They also can signify movement in the customer's journey and an advancement down your funnel. For this reason, conversions can be one of the most significant metrics you keep an eye on as an inbound marketer. So as I mentioned with social media, are you putting links on your posts that are connected to a certain metric? So you can actually measure how many people are using that link and being able to trace it through that manner. So think of your conversion data as a way to incrementally check on the health of your strategy and inform you if and when there needs to be changes. Analytics are huge. So let's talk about the conversion path. Conversion path is the process by which an anonymous visitor becomes a known lead, which you can encourage someone on your site to move down your funnel. So the steps of your conversion path begins with creating awareness. You need an element to attract visitors to your offer. The next is determine your endpoint. Are you doing a single step method or is this a multi-step method? So are you doing a single page that they just input their information on, or are you doing multiple steps to get a connection and lead? The third is chart your course. Design the experience that occurs in between the awareness and endpoint. If you know what you're doing from point A to point B, then you can make the process easier and later down the line fine tune it. The last point, we're talking about fine tuning, is analyze. Take a step back and get a health check on how your conversion path is performing. This is your opportunity, again, to fine tune. If you're noticing a drop off point through your conversion path, then see where that drop is. See if you need to switch from multi-pages to a single page. And that might be able to help you bring in more leads. So I'm gonna send this back to Jen on how this all works with marketing automation.
Cool, thank you. So hopefully now you guys are starting to see how like marketing, sales, and technology work together. Again, everything that Kelly just walked us through are things that can be done within marketing automation systems. That's why we're talking about them. So this whole inbound methodology can be performed then through marketing automation systems. It's going to give you all the tools you need, even through persona all the way to conversion. That's how you're going to you can put it all in, you can track it all. That's the benefit. So one thing though I do want to touch on just as we move forward is even with all of that technology and all that greatness, everyone's heard of WIFM, right? Everyone's heard that term? Well, it's something that's never going to change. Every potential customer wants to know one thing: what's in it for me? That's the WIFM everyone always talks about. So I'm never going to stress this enough. There are two sides to a commerce equation. If both the buyers and the sellers are only focused on their own goals, there's no connection. So marketing automation should always be driven by value. If it's not, you are spam. That's the differentiator. So as we've explained, it's not about pushing your marketing out, but pulling your audiences in. Marketing automation is really all about targeting the right users with the right message at the right time. That's where it all comes together, because you know those three things. So even I hope that everyone leaves here today and picks out a new marketing automation platform and sets it up. I'm super excited about that. But if you take one thing away, please take away this. Stop talking about why you're so great and start talking about why your audience should care. Otherwise, you're not going to get conversions, because it's all about what's in it for me. All right, so back to marketing automation setup. I want to go over some of the kind of steps that it takes to create a marketing automation system and like get all set up, because everyone should be prepared for the amount of work it does take to set up. Once it is set up, it's very easy to use, really great to utilize, but there's a lot you need to plan for. It's a big process. So some steps that you will have to do if you purchase a marketing automation platform are things like identifying your admins' users or permission levels. That can be very important to your business. You're going to want to work with your sales team to define what is a qualified lead. You're going to want to determine what you need to integrate. That can be a big one for many companies that have their own CRMs or even like purchase systems, POS systems, things like that. You want to set up all your subscriptions. You're going to want to add all your visitor tracking codes across different channels. You're going to want to set up lead scoring and list segmentation, which we will further discuss. And then of course you're gonna have to integrate all of your forms, your lead gen information, anything like that that a customer is going to have their hands on onto your website. Then you're gonna wanna design your emails and your landing pages within the system for better tracking. And of course, build out your analytics and reporting dashboards. Any of the systems we've talked about allow for customization of your dashboards, because I feel that that's something that you just have to have. We don't all have the same analytics needs. So here's also where we begin to leverage what's called lead management and list segmentation. Analyzing contact data helps determine dynamic content and email needs. Not every customer needs the same content. That's just a fact. So leads or customers can be segmented based on different criteria like demographic information, geographical information, life cycle stages, the list goes on. And this is what's gonna help move them through the funnel because they're receiving what they actually need. So as you move forward, there are a few best practices just to keep in mind. And they're basic, they're pretty simple, but just don't forget them. You wanna make sure you define and present your goals so everyone's on the same page. You wanna make sure you collaborate with other teams. You're gonna need input from sales, from customer service, from everybody to know what your client really needs. You're gonna wanna create detailed processes, and I mean actually map them out. If you can map out your conversion process, everything else falls into place. Just draw it out. And then you're gonna also want to prepare for database segmentation. Consider all of your options. This is a deep dive and should be really, really focused in on. And then of course, plan for a slow rollout. Do one thing, analyze and optimize. Don't just dump everything in there and see what happens. It just won't be as successful. And then of course, analyze as you go. So again, that's really the biggest benefit, I would say, to using all these systems. Does anyone have any questions so far? So I'm gonna get into some tactics. No? Okay. So now we're gonna get into actual tactical information. So once you have a marketing automation platform, there's a few things that you should do. So the first thing is identifying your target and high profile leads. When you get leads now from your website, maybe you just get them in your inbox. Do you just put them in a list with all of your other leads? A lot of people do. So what we need to do is focus on segmentation. The most common way of segmenting is based on lead demographics, interests, and behaviors. And what you do is you use that information to tailor your types of content that you then get sent out. And everything is clearly listed, and you're able to see all the maybe separate funnels of segmentation funnels that you have. So like, for example, on how the basic works is like, say you're an agency that has marketing services. You could segment based upon where a lead opted in on, like a newsletter, or a webinar, lunch and learn. Then you take a look at other variables, like is it a brand new lead? Are they a current customer? Are they a former client? As you can see, you're already segmented into segments that they don't receive the same content. That's why that's important. But this is very basic. So if you really want to target your high profile leads, you want to identify them by asking these questions. So it's like, what's the biggest problem you are trying to solve? What's it worth to you to solve that problem? What particular questions or concerns do you have about our services? What other options do you have? And what metrics are important to you? What these questions do is actually help you identify if the prospect is right for your company, and it helps you determine what the right information is for them. So you want to think about these questions before you create any lead nurturing campaign. Okay, to further automate how these high profile leads make it through your funnel, you're going to want to implement lead scoring, which I mentioned earlier. This is how you move people through sales funnels with marketing automation. There are 3 different criteria for marketing automation scoring your leads: explicit, implicit, and negative. Explicit data is information that's provided intentionally, like through a form or a survey, like their name, their address, what their company is, the number of employees, things like that. Implicit criteria is very interesting though. It's information that's not provided intentionally, and it's derived from analyzing the explicit criteria. So what that is they visit your website, What pages did they view? What products were they looking at? Like what actions did they take? That's gonna be able to give you a lot of information on what they're actually interested in, especially if you have multiple different services or products. And then what is also very important and sometimes gets forgotten is negative criteria. Adjusting your lead score in response to negative factors is what lets you know when you need to review, move, or delete a lead. So that's things like lack of response or unsubscribing. You want to pay attention to those attributes as well. So once lead scoring is in place, you determine your thresholds and you automate when leads move through different stages, and finally from marketing to sales. So 2 points to remember: segmentation is identifying the right content. Lead scoring moves them through your marketing and sales funnels. And once you've identified all of those things and you have your high profile leads, nurture them with education and recommendations, and of course, answer their with them questions. Another tactic you'll want to implement with marketing automation is the ability to improve conversion at the bottom of the funnel. This is basically guiding leads to the action you want them to take. Leads do get to your conversion pages and still opt out. Usually they get distracted or they don't understand what to do next. So when you're in your system and you're designing these landing pages, make sure that the conversion option is clear and clickable. Sounds simple, but we just need to make sure we do that. So like from the example above, you can see that it's really clear whichever option that you choose is based on a 30-day trial. They really have one option, this 30-day trial, which is what they're gonna pay for it. And they have made it very clear which one is the best option. Another tactic to implement immediately is to get rid of bad leads. People have subscribed to your email list and they're not engaged. You need to get them off. You actually increase your deliver rates and email reputation by doing this. You don't want to have bad emails on your list because it lowers your chances of getting anything delivered. They're called ISP scores, and they go very in depth, but the fact is if things aren't sending and they're getting bounced back or people aren't engaged, remove them. So basically you want to remove any bad domains. Sometimes these are just done by accident and you just have to go through your list and see if things aren't real. You also want to remove distribution accounts. People forget to do this one. If these are emails that go to large groups, sometimes in larger companies it'll be like an info ad or a customer service ad that technically goes to like a bunch of people. Those are bad for your score. And then remove anything inactive. This is important. It's 3 to 6 months. If they have not opened an email in 3 to 6 months, remove them. A lot of people want to wait years because they think people might come back, but they're not going to. So start the process over, remove them. Okay. Now we want to reduce losing leads. This is really important, and this is a common concern for a lot of people. It's called leakage, and it's what occurs when a good lead leaves your sales funnel. They're perfect for you, and they jumped off. We want to make sure that doesn't happen. Automation is one of the best ways to solve for this. And there's 5 easy ways to do it. Number 1, lead scoring. I've already discussed this briefly, but it is interesting. On average, about 80% of leads, just on average, are not followed up on by sales. That's usually the result of marketing and sales not talking to each other. So we need to get everyone to talk. You're going to use lead scoring to qualify leads, and then do number 2, sales alerts. Notify the right people at the right times. If lead scoring is done properly, this process is painless and everybody gets what they need at the right time. Everybody's warm, sales is ready to go. The client at that time is already waiting for sales, much easier. Number 3 also is to make sure you have a lead nurturing process for decision makers. Everyone wants to start with a simple welcome email. That's to everybody. Let's segment the list and focus on the decision makers. There's tons of people in a company. You're trying to make a conversion or a sale. It's quality over quantity at this point. And number 4 is to monitor changes in leads. Be really active on this. Positive or negative, move leads as they're needed to be moved. And of course you can automate that a ton, so you don't really have to physically do it, but just make sure you have those scores in there to move people, either bounce back, remove them. There's so many different ways they can do it. And then finally, always continue result tracking and revision. if you do anything today, make sure you spend as much time on metrics as you do on any of your other marketing processes. People always forget that. It's just as important. Any questions on reducing leads? No? All right. Well, I feel like we talked about a lot today, so we want to make sure that we give you some key takeaways here, and then of course stay for some questions that you might have. So some key takeaways we have just to remember as you're moving forward and you're picking out your marketing automation platforms is, remember, it's not just email. You want to choose something that's a combination of all your digital promotion channels. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. Just email systems don't work. The reason is because it doesn't have any cross-channel, and that everyone lives in a digital space. You have to have the message everywhere. Also, selling your product or service is always going to come down to your position and message. Don't slack on that. But you have to have a way to get that message out there, otherwise no one can hear you, and that's going to be marketing automation.
And you want to make sure that you use this in combination with inbound marketing. And remember, the goal is to reach customers along their journey, no matter where they are in the customer lifecycle, and deliver timely, relevant content that reaches customers when, where, and how they want to be reached. Successful marketing involves constant monitoring and optimization. Again, spend as much time on metrics as you do on any other process.
Not just at the end of the month. That's really the key. Not the 30-day, how did it work? Do it all the time. So also, you'll see we provided you with a little checklist that is going to walk you through creating your first inbound campaign on a marketing automation platform. But let's open the floor up to some questions because we went over a ton of platforms. Anyone have any questions on the different platform systems? What's better? What works for different types of companies? We just kind of want to open up the floor because it's so specific to each user. Anything? Yeah, okay. Well, we will kind of be around here if you guys think of anything, and obviously you can feel free to email us, let us know any questions you have, and we can provide advice for that.
Well, I'll ask a question.
Okay.
I'm Natalie Mitchell, and I'm with Southside Westside Leader newspaper.
Okay.
We don't have much of a platform at all. We have a website that we need a new website, and yes, we have Facebook, but it's, you could go on there and see what I'm. One of my big questions, other than this, your company, Carter Group,
Mm-hmm.
have you guys done publishing websites? Newspapers are different. Do you have any expertise in that area? That's one of the reasons I'm here, find out.
Okay, let me think on that for 1 second. I do build plans here for all of our different websites, so I kind of have some insights on different platforms that we can build websites are. We can do them in conjunction with marketing automation. As for our past portfolio, Kevin, do you have any insight on publishing or newspaper-based websites? We've done so many different types.
Yeah, I don't know that we have anything that's specific. Darla, you might be able to help out with that. I was going to say,
yeah,
but
there
we
you
do have experience with sites that are frequently updated. So I know that that's something that we can work with you to have a site that is built specifically for that purpose. So, but like I said, Darla probably can shed more light on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've not done a newspaper website here. However, I spent 10 years or so at the repository of About Magazine and have had a lot of experience in building their websites. So,
Anything else though? How many people here feel like they're gonna try to implement or would like more information or need to research and do your own thing about marketing automation? Anybody want marketing automation for their company? Just in general? You want to try it?
I'll just share kind of where we're at. Myself and Emily are both from Kirkey, which is just on the other side of People. We've attended a couple of your seminars in the past. We are sort of at a crux, and actually as we were chatting, I was drawing myself a little diagram because in the last 2 years we've ramped up our social media presence. We do regular posts, we do regular blogs on our website, so on and so forth. As a whole, as a company, we are in the middle of working through an ERP upgrade, looking at a new CRM system, and also redesigning a website with our we're owned by a holding company over in the UK. So with 2 other sister companies, we've kind of are in this middle of redesigning a website platform for all 3 of our sister companies as a joint venture. So the struggle that I feel like I'm having as I listen to this presentation is we know about all of this, and it's trying to work through the different pieces of the puzzle, like looking at new ERP systems, what's the best CRM that they offer. We're trying to get on one system. Right now we're operating, it feels like on, we've got Salesforce half implemented. The sales guys use it for quotes and quoting purposes, but we don't use it as a contact database because the sales guys really we don't trust that they're entering everything we need. And then we have a different ERP system that's running our sales and invoicing. So Emily and I are across the board. So as we listen to this, I feel like we're up here at the top, and we're either gonna drop off fast or we're gonna keep going up the mountain. And so it's nice to hear that there's these other options, these automated softwares for marketing.
Yeah.
But knowing that we're in this middle flux, what would you suggest as we start to try and pull all this together?
Yeah, so this is very common, actually, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Is the teams are really separate.
You're right.
So we need to figure out what team needs what. What I will tell you is the way your sales team is using Salesforce is extremely common. There are 2 ways to solve that with different integrations. You want your marketing and your sales to be on the same page. If they don't want to remove from Salesforce, when you set up certain integrations with some of these platforms, what they have is a 2-way API, which means all the information they input can come in here to your marketing system, or vice versa. You can have one be the overriding factor.
Right.
That way it merges and one is correct.
Right.
Or you could just get them in the CRM with your marketing automation software,
And
which
right
is
now,
usually much
nothing is
easier.
talking to each other. Our Salesforce and our invoicing system and sales system, they're not talking at all. They're not linked at all.
Yeah.
So it's completely disjointed.
So ERP systems usually have their own API. I'm not sure if there's so many different types.
Right,
I'd have to
right.
research it, but there are different types of APIs you can build for ERP systems. I don't know anyone that uses like an ERP CRM. I don't know. There's just different. It depends on which side is more important. Do you need marketing and sales aligned, or do you need? I'm not really sure what the invoicing team would really need with a CRM.
Sure.
So I would probably suggest looking at a combo platform because you're getting a new website built. So you're not going to want to build a website on it.
Right.
So I didn't say some of them because you can build your website right on them, so you don't need that. But you are really heavy.
You're saying on your marketing automation system, you can build your
Yeah.
website
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah, like you know how you can build on like WordPress or
Yeah.
like Silverstripe
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them you can like HubSpot has their own now. You can just build it on
So
there.
that's something we need to clarify with. Yeah.
But it's for different types of companies. As soon as we get in the e-commerce world, things are going to change as well.
Yeah.
So
And we're
really,
not there yet.
you're not on e-commerce.
Mhm.
So you're getting your website built, which is great. Now look at everything else you're doing. Your social media, guessing you're doing some email. You need the analytics, it sounds like a lot. You need a CRM, so that's all a marketing automation platform. They all do all those things.
Right.
You shouldn't have a bunch. Sometimes moving sales teams is hard, so like I said, at least for a little bit, integrate, make sure the 2-way API is working and one is the correct one, and then to be honest, there's a lot of information on how to kind of like train up your sales team to help you out.
Exactly. So when I asked the company that we're researching to do, what's your CRM system like? Maybe I have been assuming that they also have a marketing automation tool within that CRM system. They are not one and the same, so I need to clarify that.
Very different, very different types of systems, and again, it depends on your goal. If your goal is really heavy lead generation in your marketing department, then you need your sales team you need their CRM hooked to that, because you got to see how they're working through leads and get those scores to go back to marketing if they're not converting.
Right, I really like.
Oh, we have one.
Sorry. Was
I'm
that?
sorry, you finished.
Oh, it's okay. So you want to make sure that those are really, they're working back and forth. So if it's lead gen and sales, get your CRM marketing automation platforms together, because that's how they're going to talk.
Okay.
What was your question?
I really like what you said about, I'm in sales for the paper, and we're locally owned. We're not owned by the Beacon or anybody big. We're our own little 2-paper niche company. I like what you said though about putting the social media on everything, and we don't do that. You know, we have our sales flyers and our letters and stuff, but we don't put that social media on there, probably because we don't feel confident enough to drive people, even though it's out there. And that's something, see, I'm gonna take all this and go back, and we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow and discuss some of these things. But I would like all that information emailed to me. I mean, I made notes, but can you get what you had up there?
You are,
Yeah.
you're
Well, that's a good
perfectly
segue.
segued here. So everybody that's in attendance today, here and digitally, we will send out an email that will contain the slide deck that was presented today, the handout that you received as well, and what was the third thing that was coming on the?
The checklist.
The checklist handout, yes. So you will receive all of this, as well as a link to the presentation posted online itself as well. So you'll be able to refer back to specific comments that were made during that, so.
And then send us back your questions, because I know
Yes.
it's like a lot of information to take in, and technical questions and things, because to your point, it's so specific to each customer.
Yeah.
You need help walking through it, because if you Google it, it's
There's a
intense. So that's why we kind of went through a lot of what it is and isn't. Marketing automation is so much more than email marketing. That's really important because a lot of people are unfortunately buying email marketing systems thinking they have automations, and but there's actually no analytics. And then, yeah, it's $10 a month, but you really don't have anything of value. So just do that research or let us help you. Any other questions? Okay, well, we'll hang out a little bit in case anyone thinks of anything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.